Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Richard Alexander Royer, the profound thinker and mind expander, a motivational speaker and an author of 4 books, a trainer in public speaking and a life coach, a man who has spoken in over 3 continents and helped young people live a good life.
Thank you very much. How many of you have some major goals that you'd like to achieve this year? May I see you by your hands, please? Interesting. I just want to assure you 2 things. I want to assure you that you're not going to ever regret why you showed up to this conference. And the second thing is a guarantee. I guarantee you that you're not going to leave this conference the same way you've come. One of the most electrifying speakers, Mr. Les Brown, made a statement that once a man's mind has been stretched by a new idea or concept, it's very difficult for it to go back to its original state. So among other things that have been shared here, and those that I'm going to share with you tonight, I promise you, if you are fully present, if you listen by your heart, with your ears, I promise you that you'll never leave this conference the same way you've come. So are you ready for this? Very interesting. About 14 years ago, it was a Monday around afternoon. We were playing football, me and my friends. And then there came a couple. They were driving an old Suzuki. And when he reached the pitch where we were, he got out and he was holding a big cash envelope in his hands. He moved towards the pitch and he called me by my names, and I went to him. Reaching to him, he first gave me a hug and handed me the envelope, and he said, "Here is your mission call. You've been invited to serve a mission in Port Harcourt Mission." I was very excited. I screamed, and everybody on the pitch, my friends, were wondering what has happened. I immediately spread the news to all of them that I've been called to serve my mission in Port Harcourt Mission. I was very excited, and I did not even continue to play football that day. So I went home and I told all my friends about the news. And after 4 months of serious preparation, I was ready to go on my mission. And on the 2nd of August, 1998, I remember this day as if it was yesterday. It was very early in the morning, around 3 a.m. I was dressed in my white shirt with my red tie, my black pant and black shoes. I was very smart and very excited. I was on my way to the airport. Reaching at the airport, everything was worked upon within just a short time, and I was received in the first class. I sat in the first class. I felt like I was in somebody's couch at home. Very excited. The food was so good. The ladies were working on us very nicely. I was reading various types of newspapers, watching different movies. I was excited. After many hours of travel, I landed to the airport where I was going. Getting out of the airport, there was 2 gentlemen dressed nicely in a suit. They were waiting for me. And when they saw me from a distance, they called me by my names. I was so excited and surprised how they knew my name. They approached me, they welcomed me and hugged me. They took my bags from me and told me to follow them. We went to the parking, and there was a nice and expensive car. They opened for me at the back. I sat right at the back. The car was very expensive. I felt like a country diplomat. We drove off to the most expensive hotel. Reaching at the hotel, they had already booked a room for me. I entered in this room. It was very clean. The bathroom was so clean, the flowers, and it had a big bed. The bed was so huge. There was a big TV mounted on the wall. I mean, everything in the room was sparkling nice. I was so excited. I prayed to God. I was so grateful to Him for giving me that opportunity. I walked around, and the ladies that were working in the room, they were so beautiful. You know, this kind of ladies that Even if you are working on your appetite, each time they ask you whether you want to eat something, you develop an appetite. These ladies were so beautiful, with a smile on their face. I walked around towards the curtain. I pulled out the curtain, and there was a majestic view of the city and the sun as it sets across the ocean. I was so excited. I kept on bouncing on the bed. But ladies and gentlemen, my excitement did not last so long. The moment I reached for the remote and turned on the TV that was mounted on the wall, I all of a sudden landed on a certain channel, and there was a minister who was ministering that night, and he said something that night that changed my outlook on life completely. He asked a question to the audience: do you know the most wealthy place on earth? And nobody could respond. And he went on to explain that the most wealthy place on earth is not the gold mines of South America. The most wealthy place on earth is not the diamond mines of South Africa. It's not the jade mines of Asia or the oil refineries of Iraq and Iran. But the most wealthy place on earth, he said, it was the cemetery. When I heard this, I was astonished. I kept on asking myself, how come? How can a cemetery be the most wealthy place on earth? But he went on to explain. He said that in the cemetery we find books, we find music, we find ideas, talents, buildings that were supposed to be worked upon, but never to be worked upon. And then he went on to ask a mind-provoking question. He asked, you who are here, if you are called to die today, what ability, what talent, what ideas, what potential will follow you to the grave? Ladies and gentlemen, to me this was a mind-provoking question. I pulled the pillow and leaned backwards. I was busy meditating and pondering over what he had said. And that is how I slept off. I didn't even remember to order for supper. That was my longest night ever. Waking up in the morning, it was already late. So I had to rush to change, I had to order for breakfast, and then dressed up. As I got out of the room, I found those two gentlemen waiting for me down at the reception. They welcomed me once again, greeted me, and escorted me again to the nice and beautiful car. I was so excited with this car. It was the most expensive I've ever sat in. So we were already late. So as we drove, there was so much jam. So they spoke among themselves that they could use another route. As we drove around taking another route, my eyes beheld a very beautiful park, beautiful trees, beautiful flowers. Everything was so nice, very clean. So I was moved to ask what the name of the park was. It was at this time that they informed me that it was a public cemetery. At first it didn't bother me so much until we drove and reached at the entrance gate of the cemetery, because we are connecting through the cemetery to connect to the other big road that can take us so fast. But as we reached at the entrance gate, there was a huge signpost which says, "We were once like you." And when I read that, I quickly remembered what the minister said last night. And when I compared both those, I was very astonished. I could not even say a word. I kept quiet for a while, busy meditating and pondering over what I heard last night and what I've read that morning. So as we continue to drive towards the exit gate, ladies and gentlemen, there was another signpost. And this signpost this time says, "One day you'll be like us." Ladies and gentlemen, it is at this point in time that I made an uncompromising decision to live full and die empty. I immediately carried on a research to find out what is it that makes people die with their dreams unfulfilled. And after years of serious study and research, I've come to this mind-boggling conclusion that there are 5 reasons why people die with their dreams unfulfilled. But in this program, I will share with you 3 of them.